to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today's episode is a What Would Lou Do show. Now, typically a What Would Lou Do show is you ask me a question, I answer it. Today, I'm going to answer the question that I hear over and over and over again in real life from dozens of you and your colleagues. You know I talk about pricing all the time. You know I talk about profitability all the time. So today, I'm not talking about how you price, though. I'm talking about the word you use when you talk about your price, because that one word is probably doing more damage to your business than I can't imagine anything else out there could. So when we get into this today, I have some things I'm going to say to you that aren't so fun to hear. But before that, it's a quick thank you to our sponsor, Mr. Steam. Mr. Steam has a tool that does the specification for you. If you're not familiar with it, if you're not ready to walk into a dealer for Mr. Steam, you can just go and play with the tool. It's called the Virtual Spa Tool. You can find it at LuAnnNigara.com/Mr. Steam. And you can enter the dimensions of your own bathroom, of your client's bathroom, put in the materials, and it will return to you a full, complete spec list showing the list prices. From there, if it's something you wanted to put in your projects, you will go to your Mr. Steam dealer and you will start the conversation about how do you actually put this into the project. So go to LuAnnNigara.com/Mr. Steam. Start to familiarize yourself with it, because in this day, more and more consumers are looking for wellness, true actual wellness in their homes, not having to go and find it. And if you are the designer that's talking about it, you will be the designer that makes more money. All right? Mr. Steam has been making steam since 1917. Nobody knows it better. Go to LuAnnNigara.com/Mr. Steam. Okay. Right now, I guarantee you I'm probably getting a Voxer from one of my chairman of the board clients and telling me a same story that I've heard over and over again for years. Her client is insisting that she hands over her invoices. That client wants to see, you're charging me $20,000 for the sofa. I want to know what it cost you. What's your markup? What's your real number? Okay? And I know that you know this is insane the second you hear it out loud. Because why? Because you don't walk into a restaurant, order a $65 piece of fish, and ask to see what they paid for it. Nobody does that. Nobody asks. You know why? Because we understand the tacit agreement that we make when we walk into a place of business, in this case, a restaurant, that it is a business that is providing a service. It is not actually a pass-through for a piece of fish. Okay? Now, let's take it back and let's be honest for just 1 second. What if any of us actually did see the invoice? What if we found out that the fish cost $12 from their wholesaler? We'd have a moment with it like, yikes, why am I spending $65 when it costs this restaurant $12? Okay? But here's what happens. I'm a human too. It happens to me also. In about a split second, I go, oh, right. I didn't have to go find the fish. I didn't have to learn how to pick a right fish, the kind that's fresh and wonderful and all the things. And I didn't also have to cook it. And even if I did cook it, it would never taste like this, right? So the sting passes the second you remember what you're actually paying for. And it wasn't the fish. It was paying for never having to be the person who knows how to source it, prepare it, cook it, and deliver it to you, present it to you, right? And that's the whole crux of the argument. Your client isn't paying for product. When we we talk about product as a commodity, that's where we get screwed up. The client is paying to not have to be you, right? And you and your many years of experience. Now, here's another version of this. Client A walks into any retail establishment, Restoration Hardware, Pottery Barn, I don't care, picks a sofa off the floor. Nobody measured for her house. Nobody's, coming to fluff the pillows once it's installed. Nobody cares if it fits through the front door or around the staircase in the hallway, right? There's no relationship. There's no service wrapped around it beyond, somebody standing next to you and writing down in their, pad, yes, this sofa with this arm, right? You get the price of the sofa. Guess what? Has any customer ever went into a retail store like RH or any of the others and said, I really like this sofa, but I'm going to need to know what you paid for it? You don't negotiate the price at a retail store. The client accepts it. We accept it. You do and I do too. The price is the price is the price. Full stop. So what does this mean for you? And why am I coming to you with this? Because if customers are smart enough to understand that they don't ask for the restaurant's invoices or RH's invoices or anybody else, why is it that all of a sudden when they come and do business with our industry, they think they can do it, right? And here's the thing that we often forget. We are giving more. We are giving more. We are giving that full service at that restaurant. Okay, this is not a client problem. This is a permission problem. Somewhere along the way, this industry decided that this conversation was allowed to happen. And I know it happened decades ago, and it's still trickling down into our very lives every day in your businesses. And every time any designer dances around this, instead of just saying, that's not how it works. I am a business. And on top of being a business, I wrap a real service around the products and items I sell you. You need to say it plainly. And I guarantee you, because I've coached my chairman of the board's clients through it, when you do and you own it and you believe it and you get it, the conversation does end. Okay? It might take one or two conversations, but it eventually ends if you don't cave, right? Now, here's where a lot of designers get caught. In the 7 years of one-on coaching in my chairman of the board program, I've watched this happen over and over again, no matter the size of the firm. The principal falls in love with a vendor or a source that either doesn't offer real trade pricing or does, but the company never spends enough dedicated time to build enough volume to unlock the trade pricing, right? You're sourcing, you're selling 30 sofas this year and you're scattering it across 15 or 20 vendors. Okay, so what's happening is you're not building enough credibility, you're not building enough volume, you're not building enough gravitas with any vendor to get their best number. Okay, you don't become anybody's actual wholesale trade client. Okay, and what I tell my chairman of the board clients is I want 75% of your business, of the purchases that you make, to come from 25% of your vendors. I want that discipline, because when you consolidate like that, you become worth an actual trade tier pricing from the people you buy from, not a boutique discount, an actual wholesale relationship. Right? And then I know there's going to be that one-off piece. Oh my God, something extraordinary, something your client has to have, something that you saw that's only available from a source that only gives you 25 off or 20 off. Okay, you can mix that in, because that's where your design fee kicks in. And it counterbalances the handful of items where you're not operating and buying at full wholesale power. So your overall project profitability can still land where it needs to. Your client should never see your invoice. They're not entitled to it. And I don't really care if you're buying it at 15% off or 60% off. It's simply not their business. It's the same as RH, Pottery Barn. I don't care. The dollar store would never, ever reveal it. Okay? Now, there's another conversation that needs to be had. Just because your client can't see the number doesn't mean the number stops mattering. Okay? If you're buying at 15 or 20% across the board, there's no invoice hidden well enough to fix what that will do to your bank account. That is not a privacy problem. That's a margin problem. And that's the thing that we're going to talk about next. A 5-star restaurant isn't buying the same cut of meat as a mid-tier steakhouse. The 5-star might be sourcing dry-aged, higher-grade beef at a place like Friday's, okay, that isn't even set up to buy or it's profitable for them to buy. But here's what's true across every single one of them. The steakhouse, the mid-tier grill, the 5-star. None of them are standing in a grocery store buying their steak at retail. None of them are walking into a grocery store and saying, oh, could I get 15% off because I'm a restaurant? Right? No. Every one of them at every price point is buying at a wholesale place somewhere. What separates them isn't whether they buy wholesale. It's which tier of wholesale they've earned access to, and it's how they know and what they do with it once they have it. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that RH, the steak, the fish, the restaurants are buying from a wholesale fishmonger. They're buying from a wholesale butcher. RH is buying from wholesale wherever in the world, okay? They're not buying it from somebody down the street. And when you go and you don't set up trade accounts and you don't buy at the deepest, lowest trade price you can by consolidating your purchases, and you settle for going to places that give you your designer discount at 15 or 20% off, it's no different than the restaurant going to the grocery store. And the owner of the restaurant is behind you in line at the grocery store, and he's sitting there buying, 90 pieces of steak for his dinner rush that night. Like, come on, right? And maybe if he goes every Friday to buy 90 pieces of steak, maybe the grocery store says, hey, you come every Friday, I'll give you 20 off. But is that the way he runs a profitable business? No. That restaurateur goes and finds a wholesaler. And if he has to or she has to get to a certain level to earn the wholesale pricing, then what do? They don't buy 4 steaks from one wholesaler, 3 steaks from another, 10 steaks from another. They consolidate their purchase and say, here I am. I'm serious. I am a full-fledged restaurant, and I'm coming to patronize you, and I want the best pricing I can possibly get, right? Here's what I need you to hold on to. Whether you're new in this industry or you're commanding a $2 million build, you should never be on the retail side of this line. You should always be striving to buy, trade, wholesale, right? What changes is which tier of wholesale you have access to and what your design fees add up to on top of it. But the wholesale mindset shouldn't be something that you think you graduate to, or something that, it's complicated and it's hard to do and I can't be bothered, right? It should be the way you approach your business from day one, okay? Because this is where your profitability is going to live. And I'll just tell you, at LuAnn University, we teach how to buy wholesale, right? We teach it so that if you're unsure, you can come learn how to do it, all right? Now, I'm going to move on and talk about markup and margin. And I have a little theory about this. It's not proven. It's just my supposition. I think, first of all, I find on the regular that these two words are used interchangeably and they are mistaken and also often misunderstood what one means and what the other means. And I have a thought that if markup and margin didn't both start with the same letter, we would not be nearly as confused by them as we are. Okay? So let me show you how the difference is, not just tell you what it is. Markup is what you add on top of your cost. Margin is what's left over once you're standing at the retail price and looking back down at your cost. Okay? So same two numbers, cost and retail, but markup measures the climb up from the bottom and margin measures how much of that final selling price, that money that you collected, is actually your profit. So a 50% markup does not give you a 50% margin. A 50% markup gives you something closer to a 33% margin. And this gap is where I find over and over again designers in well-run businesses often losing money and have no idea. I'm talking about businesses that are well-run, that are doing multiple millions or doing 1 million, but buttoned up. But if you are not paying attention to this and you do not cognitively grasp this, then you are bleeding money. So I'm not going to walk you through the full math right now because I did an episode with Vita on window treatment for profit, number 279, pricing for profit, markup versus margin. And we walk through the exact numbers for you and how to understand it and calculate it, because it takes a left turn here and I don't want to clog us up. But we will link this episode in the show notes and I highly encourage you to go listen to it. What I want to go back to and focus on today is the target for your gross profit margin. You will hear 40%, 50%, 55%. You will 40% fine. Okay? Like you're not going to run a great business at 40% gross profit margin. But honestly, what I run into is most designers functioning between 23 and 30%. So, okay, the firm that's at 40% has got a little bit more money in the bank to grow their business, to go to Aruba, to pay for colleges, right? But my husband, Vin, has always said, we are going for 55 to 60. That is the gross profit margin. And it is the number one KPI in your business. If you track nothing else, track that. It is probably the least tracked number in our industry. And I want you to understand that while Vin does have a degree in accounting and a master's in business, he did not invent this number. There are experts upon experts in business that will verify that this is how a profitable business runs. There's Greg Crabtree, CPA, author of Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits. He has spent his entire career telling business owners the same exact thing. Sales are for show, but profits are for dough. Okay? We have a member in Exciting Windows, Oliver. He says, what does he say? Revenue is for vanity, but profits are for sanity, right? So Greg treats gross margin, not gross revenue, as the true top line of your business, just like Vinny does, okay? Because until you know that number, you don't actually know if you have a profitable, healthy business or you just have a lot of activity, right? Now, we've talked about EOS on the show before, Entrepreneur Operating System. We've got firms out there that have been on the show talking about how they run their business under EOS. It's the same principle running through EOS. It's the same thing that they teach. Your scorecard in EOS doesn't run on how much revenue comes in the door. It runs on the handful of numbers that actually tell you whether the business is healthy, and the gross profit margin is always one of those numbers, because it's the number that determines whether there's anything left to build a real business on or to run a real business on. Okay? Now, one thing I want to be clear, the 60% that I want you to strive for is not a number that you will hit on every single line item of the things that you sell. I live in the real world. I know that sometimes the markup and the margin are not going to hit that. But here's the thing. It's a blend, right? Tile, appliances, hard goods. Sometimes the market will cap what you can charge on these, no matter how well you can buy. And that's okay. But where the market allows, push your margin as high as it can go so you can start to hit 45, 50, 55. Okay? Buy smart on 75% of your purchases through 25% of your vendors. But then what happens is your blended gross profit margin can hit 60 with your design fees, because your design fees do not carry cost of goods. So if you're hitting, say, 48, 45, 48, 50 in your product, then when you charge your rate, your actual design fees based on the actual hours that you put in, I don't care if you do a flat fee, it should not be a guess. Then what happens is that 100% profit on your design fee goes right into your business and mixes in, and now you can have every single individual project hitting that 60% profit margin, okay? Now, I'm just going to detour for a second, because I'm not unaware that there are those in our industry that, like, let's call them the top tier designers, the ones who are nationally and internationally known. I want to say celebrity designers, but I don't mean it in that they're quote unquote influencers. I'm talking about legitimate firms that, are just at, the top 5%ers, those firms. And these are firms that can walk into a project and command design fees in the multiple 6 figures and sometimes 7. And they are looking at their billionaire clients that have multiple homes, have private jets and everything else. And you know what? I'm aware that some of these types of firms will give their clients straight net pricing on product, no markup at all. Okay? But they're not also charging $5,000 for a living room design fee. They're not even charging $30,000 for a living room design fee. Guess what? They're not even charging $50,000, right? So I'm not unaware that model exists. But what I'm going to tell you is, if a firm like that is actually genuinely profitable, they are still landing at 55 to 60% profit margin, gross profit margin. Okay? The design fee alone, maybe they can charge that much that the design fee alone carries the whole business there. But often, when you meet a firm like this that is doing multiple 6-figure design fees and giving their product away at net cost, they are also the exact kind of firms that have licensing deals and brand partnerships, and they have a product line and a media deal. Because what it is they've got multiple genuinely healthy revenue streams. Because nobody sustains a healthy business long term without landing at that 60% profit margin. It just doesn't. So they might get there a different way, but where they get is the same place I want you to go. All right? So don't let the existence of that model talk you out of the drive to go to 55, 60% gross profit margin. Unless you're Chip and Joanna with a product line at Target, also padding that checkbook, Your blended margin has to come from the product and the design fees that you put in front of your client. Okay? That's the number it takes to run a profitable business. That is a business and not just the most stressful job you've ever had in your entire life. Okay? Now, the next thing is, regardless of the size of your business, the math is the same. So if you're not hitting your margin and you don't have enough left over to run your business, what changes on the size of your business is how much you feel it. Okay? So stay with me. If you were doing, say, 100 to 200,000 gross revenue a year, you're going to feel it pretty fast. Okay? You're going to feel it pretty fast if you are not reaching profitable gross profit margins. Okay? Because maybe at any given time, you have about $5,000 sitting in your account, $10,000. Maybe it hits 20, right? The rent's due, the payroll's due, and then all of a sudden you're down to 1,000. And it's terrifying, right? And it's honest, and it happens. But that number is telling you the truth in real time, and you can't hide from it because you didn't make enough money on your projects, and when you paid everything, there was barely anything left. Now, here's what happens, though. If you are a firm doing 3, 4, 5 million and higher, you can stop feeling that. And that is the Achilles heel of a high gross revenue business. Because guess what? You almost have money sitting in the checkbook. There's always 100, 300, $500,000, maybe there's $1 million sitting in your checkbook. And what happens is when you see that much money in your checkbook, yeah, you probably think you're fine. You probably think everything's good. Why wouldn't you? There's a heck of a lot of money there. So the Amex bill comes in, it gets paid. The car payment gets paid. The rent gets paid. The payroll gets paid. The cushion dips. That little money in the checkbook goes down a little bit. Maybe it goes from 300,000 to, 200,000, or it goes from, $1 million to 900,000. But you know what? The next, design fee is coming in. The next, check for the procurement is coming in. And it never gets so tight that you're forced to actually see that the same broken margin, the same lower gross profit margin is hurting your business just as much as it's hurting that smaller business that is feeling the stress of an empty checkbook. Because there is a difference between running your business by the checkbook and running your business by the facts, by the data. And here's how you could test it if you really wanted to. Take any given day. If you paid off every single cost tied directly to the projects that the money that's in the checkbook came from, your cost of goods, your subcontractors, every project's expense, what should be left over is your gross profit, your taxes, everything, right? Now, this is the problem. They're not all due in the same day, and that's why it hides. But what if you did? You paid them off at the same day, okay? And what you would see left is your gross profit money, okay? And now, with that gross profit money that's sitting there, now on the same day, go and pay every cost to be an open number, right? Your cost to be open number are your fixed expenses that you have, whether you have a project or not. The rent if you have a studio, the payroll if you have employees, your business insurance, your car insurance, your subscriptions to My Doma Studio, every overhead expense for that period. What's left after that is your actual net profit. And if you did that math on any random Tuesday and there is still money sitting there, you're profitable. But if there isn't, that money that's sitting there when you don't do this, it's not profit. It's not actually your money. It's just cash that you didn't send out yet to do its job of running your business. And that's why when you see me live and I talk about like money laundering, right? The money comes in, it goes right back out. And what stays behind? What? Nothing. If nothing stays behind, it is money laundering, right? And I'm going to tell you what, I've known business owners who have run this way for 20, 30 years. They have an enormous amount of money running through their business. And somehow they never get ahead. They never end up building the lifestyle that matched the size of the checks going into their account. Volume is not a business. Dollars moving through your account is not your profitability. A business is something that's priced for profit on purpose, and it pays you. And unfortunately, the bigger you get, the easier it is to mistake the money in your checkbook for profit. Right? Does that make sense? Now, all of this, the discount question, conversation, the margin, the checkbook, comes back to one thing. You cannot discount your way out of a business that isn't standing on a real foundation. Every time a new wave hits, it will keep hitting. The question is never, what is everyone else doing? The question is, does this support the business I actually want to operate? Does this improve profitability? Does this improve client experience? Does this improve operational ease? Or is it just noise dressed up as urgency? The firms that stay standing and live the lifestyle they want, not just a job that's glorified, okay? These firms know their numbers, they know their worth, and they never confuse a discount with a relationship. And I get that it's complicated, and I understand that it's hard. And I know it's hard to look at. I look at the faces of my chairman of the board, and they're like, I don't want to know this. But they do, because they paid to learn it, right? But I've actually had some say, oh my God, okay, we're figuring out the gross profit on this job. What is it going to be? Right? These numbers don't fix themselves just because you listen to me today. And I'm not going to pretend that they do. And I don't want you to pretend that they do. And here's what I know. After 4 decades in business and more than 1,400 conversations on these podcasts, plus all the hundreds of conversations I've had with my coaching clients, with you guys in real life, the most expensive thing in your business is often not a bad hire or a wrong investment. It's a decision that you never make. It's the thing that sits on your desk for weeks and months. It's the thing that you know you need to address and you don't, because it feels too big. It feels too complicated. It feels too scary to understand it. And often it's hard to do it alone. You know, you can rewind this and listen to it 5 times. If you get it, great. Go fix it. But I'm going to tell you, if you don't, one good conversation with a smart person can help you unlock it for your business, right? That one person. And so this is the reason why I built the Boardroom for Creatives. Because sometimes you do need a year long of coaching. Sometimes you do need 6 months of group coaching or one-on-one. Sometimes you do. And sometimes you just hear a conversation like this and you think, well, what would happen if I just sat down and opened my books up to one person who knows the answers and they help me understand it, not from a theoretical standpoint on a podcast, but actually with my books? I do that all the time with my coaching clients. It's not a conversation that we have 12 times over 12 months. We have it 1 or 2 times, and then they get it, and they make changes, and they move on. So I would encourage you, if you are struggling with this, go to the boardroomforcreatives.com. It's boardroomforcreatives.com. All right? Choose what you think this problem is rooted for you in. Is it rooted in finance, where you really just don't understand it? Because we have an entire finance track with experts there. Is it rooted in sales, where you understand it, but you don't know how to talk about it to your clients? Go to the sales track. Is it rooted in operations, that you need a system for yourself and everybody that works for you? Maybe you're a firm that's got 3 or 4 designers, all responsible for their own projects, and you need an operational system that puts the guardrails around your profitability. Go to the operations track. Maybe you need to go to the leadership track, because you just need a little help understanding you are the CEO. There's nobody sitting next to you. It's you. Like, you got to do it. Okay? So I highly encourage you to look at these numbers for yourself. Understand you are shooting for 55 to 60% gross profit margin, not markup. All right? Here's your action step. I want you to run this exact math on your own projects individually. Individual projects, not all of your, revenue from last year. Go to a single project. And let's say the project was $500,000, right? Say what I mean by that is the cost, like the check that your consumer is writing for you is $500,000 for the product, for the combination of all the product. Okay? If you are like 9 billion interior design firms in our industry, you're probably marking that up by 30 to 35%. Marking it up 30 to 35%. And here's what that's going to mean. To land at a $500,000 number for your client with a 35% markup, your cost of goods is $375,000. Your gross profit margin on that project is your gross profit dollars on that project is $130,000. Your gross profit margin is 26%. It's not 35. It's not the markup. And it's certainly not the 60% that I want you to get to. It's not. It's just not, right? Now, let's run the same $500,000 project in a different way. Let's say if your cost of goods is $250,000 instead of $370,000, your gross profit now is also $250,000, and your gross profit margin is 50%. Now we're in the healthy range. That's 100% markup. Okay? 100% markup equals a 50% gross profit margin. Okay? Not 35% markup that the industry tells you to do. Okay? Now, here's what I want you to take away from this. If the client is paying $500, if you are doing what I'm asking you to do, paying attention, consolidating your purchases, getting to the best price, and you are selling for $500,000, something that's costing you $250,000, you've made that additional difference by doing the exact same work. It's the same client, it's the same project, it's the same site visits, it's the same number of status calls, it's the same number of sourcing events, whether that's online or in real life. It's the same number of client phone calls. It's the same everything. You didn't do one extra thing in scenario 2. But in scenario 1, your firm has $130,000 to run on. And in scenario 2, your firm has $250,000 to run on. And then what happens is you pay your bills, your cost to be open number out of the $250,000, and then all that's left over is either going back into building your business, you're investing in a business coach, you're investing in infrastructure, you're buying a building, or it's going into your pocket as a paycheck that actually matches what you should be earning. Okay? Same work, same client, different pricing. Nearly double the money that becomes yours. Now we don't have a hustle problem, right? Now we know what we have is a pricing problem. And it is the one problem that you can fix this afternoon. You can do it today. Go do the math on your last several projects. Find your real number. Do you know how many times in the last 10 years I've said do the autopsy of a project? And I think it's only in the last year that I realize that I say the autopsy of a project and I mean do this. But I keep asking, when I meet you in real life. Okay, that's what you sold it for. Do you know what your net cost on it was? Do you know what your gross profit on it was? And then I get the stare. And I'm like, but I've been talking about running your autopsy. Yeah, no, I go through it and I make sure the client was happy and I make sure that, this and that and the other thing. No, my friend, the autopsy is this. Do all the other things. Make sure you did all the sourcing right. Make sure that, all the trades and all the relationships all did what they said they were going to do. But do the math, right? And when you get to it, if by the time you add, so we've got this 50% profit margin, 100% markup. Now that same $500,000 project, what are we going to add on that for our design fee? And now our total gross profit margin hits that 60. You see? It's a blended gross profit margin, right? So that's what I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do is go take 3 or 4 completed projects and run it all the way down to the real numbers. And if you get to it and you are anything below 48%, let me just be really kind to you. If you're under 48%, now you know why you're tired and exhausted. Just that's it right there. If you're at 55, 52, high five. And if you add that design fee and you hit 60, yay you. Yay you. I'm so happy and grateful. Okay? But if you can't get yourself to 60% with that blended gross profit margin, you can stop wondering why you're so exhausted and you feel so unappreciated and you feel like, what am I doing this all for? I just saw it in a Facebook group yesterday. This industry is exhausting and it's killing me and I'm over it and I'm out. And I wanted to just say, I wonder if you were running a business that was profitable. Because when you're making money doing something you love, that's the magic formula, right? I've never met a designer that's a designer by accident. Never one time. Do you know how many accidental window treatment people there are? I would tell you 80% of us are accidental. Me, Vinny was doing it. Other people, their mother was doing it. My daughter now is in it because her mother and father were in it, right? She didn't grow up just like I didn't grow up saying, geez, I can't wait to sell blinds, okay? But designers, you come from it from a true passion. And when I see designers to see you tired and exhausted and quitting the industry because you don't feel like you can make a go at it, I always want to just say, but did you check first if you were running the business part right? Because most of the time, that's the problem, okay? Now, the second thing I want you to do is go build your wholesale source list. Sit down. If you have it on spreadsheets, great. If you don't, you need to start your spreadsheets. Go list out every vendor you currently buy from by category, right? Soft goods, case goods. What are the other categories? Lighting, accessories, rugs, all the categories, right? And then look at this list. Which one of them are you buying at genuine trade or wholesale? Right? Circle them. And, the other thing I always ask my chairman of the boards to look for is, like I mentioned earlier in the conversation, did you buy 30 sofas last year from 10 different places, from 20 different places? That's nuts. That's nuts. That's insane. You can buy 30 sofas from 3 places. I promise you. I've pressed every chairman of the board to do it, and somehow they all do it. Okay? Because if you're still scattered and you are still scattering your financial power across too many vendors, you are not able to command that best trade wholesale pricing. And that is the difference. The restaurant doesn't go to the ShopRite to buy the steak that they're going to cook you. Okay? Don't go to a retail place and take your 20% off because you're a designer and think you're running a profitable business. Okay? All right. Not a fun conversation, right? Hard news. But you know what? I know you can do it. You are the best in the best of the industry. You are the one that shows up and says, I want to know better. I want to do better. Now you know. Now go do it. If you need help, I highly encourage you to go to boardroomforcreatives.com and book one 50-minute session with somebody who can help you work on it one-on-one to get it clear, because it can happen. All right? If you need more coaching than that, maybe chairman of the board is for you. Maybe one of the other board members on Boardroom for Creatives, their 3-month or their 6-month or their year-long programs. I don't honestly care where you get the help. I really don't. What I care is that you get the help. What I care is that this industry together stops marginalizing the highly valuable work that you do. That's what I care about. So I just want all of us to go to the same place. I want you to earn in your business more than you pay a senior designer. How about that? I want you to earn 3 and 4 times more that you pay your senior designer. And I want you to pay your senior designer well. Because you can, when you understand where the money is going through the cracks. Okay, I'm going to stop. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me today and all the days. Thank you for investing your time, money, and energy into building a better business for yourself, because I know you can do it. I absolutely have watched designer after designer transform their business when they actually recognize that the problem is between your own ears and that you can fix it. And you might need a little help to do it, but that's okay. You know, I tell you guys all the time, if your little daughter or son wants to be a dancer, you don't just give them some ballet or tap shoes and say, good luck. You go and invest in them. You give them lessons. You give them training. And you encourage them to practice and to invest their time and energy in being better. Do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. All right. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.